Hello guys, welcome back to Ride On Academia. So today we're going to be looking at annuity. Okay, we're going to be looking at annuity. The term annuity is used when equal payment, okay, equal payment, or there is an equal payment or equal receipt of money, okay, and that payment or receipt comes with compounded interest, okay. Now in our previous video we looked at the compound interest. All right, we looked at the compound interest and we saw how to calculate the future value of compound interest. Right now, compound interest was just for one amount of money deposited, right, for a particular year, just an amount of money deposited for a particular year, and then we charge interest until the money is paid back. All right, now in the case of annuity, not one amount is paid, okay, but equal amount is paid, maybe at the end of the year, maybe at the beginning of the year, but equal amount is paid, okay. So let's say we can be paying money maybe every month, like I said. So we're paying we have more than one amount, unlike the compound interest, right? We can be having 5,000 naira every year, okay. Payment is made every year, this year, next year. So it means as the money is in wherever we are paying that money to, wherever we have deposited the money, okay. Let's assume a bank, for instance. So we are making payment on yearly basis, like more like a contribution, okay. We are making that payment, other investment, continuously on a yearly basis, okay. Then we'll say annuity, that is an equal amount of money deposited periodically, okay, for a given compound interest. Now the interest is we can calculate interest in two ways, okay. So in this video we're going to be looking at the two ways we calculate interest for annuity. All right, now the first way we calculate interest is where payment is made at the end of the year, okay. If we make payment at the end of the year, it means that the first payment will not be having interest, right? The first payment that was made, because at the end of the year will not be having any interest, but the interest will start reading from the next year, okay. That is where we have payment made at the end of each year. It means the payment we made this year will not receive interest this year, that payment will be receiving interest next year. All right, and then the payment that was made the next year, this is constantly, okay, the same amount. The payment that was made next year will not be receiving interest that next year, but the upper year, right, and continuously like that. And then we also have the second part where payment is made at the beginning of the year. That's we are investing, okay. Let's say we are putting our money to the bank, the same amount is invested, okay, continuously, let's say yearly, okay. So the second instance is where payment is made at the beginning of the year, right. So if we make payment at the beginning of the year, it means that very year that payment will be yielding interest at the end of the year, right, because that payment was made at the beginning of the year. Those are the two ways, or those are the two methods we use in calculating annuity, and we'll be looking at them in this video. Right now, for the first instance, like I said, the first instance is where payment is made at the end of the year. All right, so where our annuity, like I say, equal amount, right. So where our annuity or our payment is made, our regular payment is made at the end of the year, okay. What's our future value? Like I said, if we're not looking at just one amount deposited, but that one amount was deposited continuously, repeatedly, and regularly, the same amount, right, that's what gives rise to what we call the annuity, okay. It has to be the same amount, and it was deposited at least the same that same interval, okay, or the same period of time. So this is our future value, where payment is made at the end of the year, okay. Our future value is that amount which we call the annuity, that regular amount, okay. Now how do we calculate our interest rate for the case where interest is received, okay, or the payment is made at the end of the year, okay. And this is for our bracket. We have 1 plus r raised to power n. N is the number of years, right, like we did in compound interest. But since the payment is made at the end of the year, we are removing 1, okay, minus 1, and then dividing by our rate, okay. So this is our formula for where payment is made at the end of the year. Now we're going to be looking at let's take an illustration, okay. Let's assume that a person, okay, was investing 5,000 naira, okay, investing 5,000 naira yearly, okay. For the first case, we are saying payment is made at the end of the year, right. So let's say a person, let's say Mr. Johnson, okay, invested 5,000 naira at the end of each year with a bank, okay, and he did this for 5 years. He kept investing 5,000 naira at the end of every year. At the end of every year, he kept investing 5,000 naira for 5 years, okay, with a particular bank at an interest rate of 15%. All right, at an interest rate of 15%. All right, now we're keeping the money for 5 years. We want to know the future value, that is the amount is going to be receiving, okay, at the end of that 5 years. All right, so our n is 5 years. All right, so we'll be inputting the formula very quickly. So our future value is what we are looking for. Our amount in this case is 5,000 naira, and the payment was made at the end of the year, right? Now this is for our interest. Let's compound for our interest. Our rate 1 plus our rate 15%, okay, that's 15 over 100, to be giving us 0.15, right? So we are having 0.15 in our bracket, raised to power of what, 5 years, that is 5, and then when we are through, subtract 1 and then divide by 0.15, which is our interest rate. All right, like I said, this is how we calculate where payment is at the end of the year. All right, so let's continue. We have 5,000 naira. 1 plus 0.15, we're having 1.15 raised to the power of 5, and then we have minus 1, okay, and we are dividing by 0.15. So we're going to be working on the bracket until we are through, okay, the first bracket by our board mass, okay, so we are working on brackets first, right? Now we are having 5,000 naira. 1.15 raised to power 5 will be giving us 2.0114. All right, when we die approximated to 4 decimal places, okay, and then we have our minus 1, and when we are through, we need to divide by 0.15. All right, so what we have next is that same annuity amount, 5,000 naira. 2.0114 minus 1, okay, we'll be having 1.0114 divide by 0.15. All right, so we have reduced our bracket work, right? Now we just have to divide. All right, so we are having 5,000 naira multiplied by 1.0114 divide by 0.15 will give us 6.7426. All right, so it means at the end of the 5 years after paying that consecutive amount, all right, we're going to be multiplying 5,000 by our interest, okay, and that will be giving us 33,713 naira. Like I said, this is a case where payment is made at the end of the year, okay. Where we have that payment is made at the beginning of the year, the formula becomes different. All right, this is for the end of the year. Like I say, for the end of the year, it means that particular year, that year where that payment is made, will not be receiving interest. All right, until the next year, then we'll receive interest, and like that it goes on like that. All right, but where we have the beginning of the year, it means that amount that was invested this year at the beginning of the year will be receiving interest at the end of the year. All right, so we're going to be using this same illustration, but in this case we are going to be saying that payment was made at the beginning of the year. That's for the second instance. All right, so for the second instance, we're having that payment was made at the beginning of the year. All right, that is the reverse, okay. So payment was made in this case at the beginning of the year. So when payment is made at the beginning of the year, our future value formula changes. All right, our future value formula changes. We are having our annuity, the same annuity, okay, but our interest rate will be calculated differently, like I said, because that particular year that amount will also be any interest, right? So our future value formula will be 1 plus r raised to power n plus 1. That's the number of years plus 1, right? And then I'm multiplying, we are subtracting 1 plus r, all right? Then dividing by our r. So this is our formula where interest is paid at the beginning of the year, okay, at the beginning of the year. So let's still use that same amount. We are still paying that, we are still making that equal payment of 5,000 naira, but in this case at the beginning of the year, okay, for 5 years, and the interest rate still remains the same, 15%, okay. So let's see how much we are going to be having at the end of 5 years. All right, in this case where interest is paid at the beginning of the year. All right, so our annuity is 5,000 naira. For our bracket, we have 1 plus r, okay. Our r is 0.15, all right, 15%, 15 over 100, right? And then our n plus 1 is 5. Our n is 5, that's 5 years, right? Plus 1, and we are subtracting 1 plus r, all right. Our r is 0.15, okay, and then dividing by 0.15. So this is it. This is how we are entering. So we have two brackets, right, and we're going to be working on them together. All right, so we have 5,000 naira This is our 1.1 plus 0.15, okay? So we are having 1.15. 5 plus 1, we have 6, right? So this is 1.15 raised to power 6, and then we are subtracting 1.15, okay, before we divide by 0.15, all right, based on our board mass, right? So we are having our future value to be equal to 5,000. In our bracket, we have 1.15 raised to power 6 to give us 2.3131, all right, to 4 decimal place, okay? And then we're going to subtract 1.15. We're subtracting 1.15 before dividing by 0.15, right? Okay, so the next thing we have, our annuity amount is still 5,000 naira. That same money we are paying, right? And then 2.3131 minus 1.15 will giving us 1.1631, all right, divided by 0.15, right? We're having 5,000 naira. Now 1.1631 divided by 0.15 will give us 7.754. It means our future value lastly, all right, so we are done to multiplication, right? So our future value is going to be 5,000 naira multiplied by 7.754, all right, and that will be giving us 38,770 naira, okay, which means we are going to be having a higher amount where the interest is charged from the beginning of the year, okay. That means we have made payments from the beginning of the year, okay. That is where payment is made at the beginning of the year, right, because we're going to be receiving interest for that very year, okay. So we are going to be having a higher amount as compared to when the payment is made at the end of the year, all right. In our next class, we're going to be looking at the present value for regular amount, all right. If this video was helpful to you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't, click on the notification button so that when new videos drop, you will be notified immediately, and don't forget to share our videos to as many as you can, all right. We'll see you in our next class. Thank you.